Welcome, as always. I am Ty Brown. This is the Facebook version of Six Figure Dog Business. We have a podcast version. This is the Facebook version. We actually do different shows on either one, but both shows are designed to teach you how to start or grow your dog training business to a healthy 6 figures per year or more income. And so this is being streamed live on Grow Your Dog Training Business with Ty Brown. And it's also being streamed live on eCollar Technologies. eCollar Technologies is a brand of e-collars. Even if you don't use e-collars, you can still learn a lot from this. But we love partnering up with eCollar Technologies because frankly, we've used them for years and are thrilled to have bought hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of their product. But again, today we're going to be talking about how to start selling results instead of selling time. So I think there's a lot of confusion behind this one. Maybe not confusion, but I see a lot of dog trainers who have heard of this concept and in a theoretical way, they're like, I get it and I want to do that because I'm sick of selling sessions. I'm sick of selling $50 an hour, $100 an hour. I'm sick of selling a group of 3 sessions, things like that. I'd rather sell results. But the way that some folks do that is they offer, like unlimited private sessions, which there are ways to do that. I've heard of ways to do that that doesn't get you bit. But I'm not even talking about selling unlimited private sessions or anything like that, or unlimited follow-up, or unlimited this, that, or the other. Although that might be a part of how you do it. What I want to take you through is a process that I take clients through on how to, on how they can take their skill, knowledge, and expertise and turn it into a results-based program rather than a time-based program. Even if ultimately, when all things are said and done, they're spending about the same amount of time with each client. Because the value here is when you're selling hours, you become a commodity. So when you're selling a session for $90 an hour, when you're selling 3 sessions for $250, when you're doing these types of things, you're a commodity and you become immediately comparable with other dog trainers based on their price. And so what you do is you start creating the conversation in your prospective client's mind that, hey, here's how much I charge per session or charge per hour. Maybe go see how much the other guy charges per hour, because that's natural, right? That's, we humans, we compare based off of things that are comparable. And so if we've got a few dog trainers charging by the hour or by the session or by the group of sessions, we can immediately compare them based off of that. Now, I don't want to be compared based off of price. I don't know about you, but when you're trying to compare based off of price and you're trying to compete based off of price, it's a race to the bottom. I actually did this exercise once. I went and I researched and I found a huge list on Wikipedia. I don't remember exactly what I researched, but it was something like I was researching discount retailers. Because people say something like, oh, well, even discount retailers can do a really good job. And so I can sell my training by the hour and compete based on price and still, make a good living. And the reality is I don't believe that you can. I don't think you can ever compete on price and make a good living. And to prove this, I went looking for discount retailers and I found a list of hundreds of retailers that had been at one point big, but then went out of business. And I can't remember the names of a lot of them. There was like Lucky's, I don't even remember, but I remember some from growing up. Like I would read it and be like, oh, I remember that one. Oh, I remember that one. Yeah, they did go out of business, didn't they? They had multiple stores. They had 5 stores, 100 stores, 200 stores, whatever, and they went out of business because discounting is not a model that works. It doesn't. And some people might say, well, look at Costco and look at Walmart. Costco and Walmart aren't discounters. They aren't. You might think that they are, but what they have is they have a business model that allows you to get the stuff that you want at often a better price, but they're not discounters because the way that they run their business, they're able to maintain margins that are pretty high. Costco has really high margins, compared to the rest of the food industry. They can sell it cheaper because what they've done is they said, we're not going to have tons of different SKUs, tons of different types of products. We're only going to have X amount of products, which means we're going to get the best deals on them so that we can pass those savings on, but still keep a really big margin. And so their margins are very good, which is why Costco generally in the food retail industry pays their people really, really well. They're not a discounter in the sense that they're discounting and getting razor thin margins and things like that. You look at Walmart. Walmart is one of the exceptions. And they're not even an exception because they're able to maintain good margins too, because they got so big and figured out how to buy in such a way that the uniqueness of them is not low prices. The uniqueness of them is the ability to buy at such volume where they're maintaining margin and still able to get it out to the customer. And so for that reason, they do well. If you research Walmart and the vendors that they have, the people that sell into Walmart, Walmart's notorious. They beat their vendors up. They basically take over their vendors' business and say, we're going to buy X amount of your product, but you're going to have to sell it to us at this. And so their vendors are the ones that are taking the big hit, and they don't. So at the end of the day, they still have small margins, Walmart does. But as far as retail, their margins are good, and they've been able to scale huge. But they do it based off of the back of their vendors. So what I'm getting at here is discounting is not the way to go. And so if you're charging by the hour, like it or not, you're competing based on price. And so if you're competing based on price, you have to do a ton of work to convince somebody that your $120 an hour is something that they should do versus the next guy's $75 an hour. And me personally, I don't even want to enter that conversation ever. I want people choosing us based off of, wow, the results that you get are superior, the way that you treat your customers is superior, I want them choosing us based off of superiorness, not cheaperness. Because the types of people that are choosing based off of cheap, generally, and I'm not saying the types of people that they're poor, because rich people that are choosing based off of cheap, poor people that are choosing based off of cheap, and middle class people that are choosing based off of cheap, all of these folks that are choosing based off of cheap generally tend to be the worst clients that you can get. Generally. This isn't always the case. But generally, somebody that's shopping around says, I have a problem, someone needs, where can I get help? But it's got to be the cheapest guy in town. That guy usually demands the most, expects the most, and does the least. It's just a natural rule. I'm not just talking about dog training. I'm talking about any service. You generally get the worst clients when you're going after the cheap guys, when you're going after cheapness. So we want to erase that conversation from their mind. We want the only conversation to be, is my problem worth the amount of money that you're charging? Not, is the hour that you're going to give me worth the money that you're charging? Does that make sense? There's a huge difference there. Because when we can change that conversation and we can keep the conversation on their problem, their pain, their need, their problem, their pain, their need is worth big money. It becomes worth less money in their mind when they start attaching hourly dollar amounts to it. Because they start comparing it to other dog trainers, they start comparing it to themselves and saying, I don't make $90 an hour, who the heck does this dog trainer think he is? So like I say, we need to get the conversation onto solutions and off of hours, off of sessions, off of time. Even if your program has X amount of sessions, 5 sessions, 3 sessions, whatever, even if it does have a set amount of sessions, we have to take the conversation off of that and put it onto value if we're going to serve our customers. So how do we do this? It's very simple. I've got a formula for you. And I'm looking down because I've got my notes. Hopefully you're taking notes at this point. And if you need to, feel free to write questions down below. But it's very simple. What do they need? And this is a fundamental question that most dog trainers get wrong. So, if I was to ask 10 dog trainers, hey, your clients have these problems, what do they need? I'm probably going to get 10 responses that surround something like, well, they need to learn how to train their dog, or they need knowledge, or they need a skill. And that is the wrong answer. It's not the wrong answer because it's wrong. It's the wrong answer because it's incomplete. What do people really need when they're trying to dramatically change their dog's behavior? Think about it. What do they need? They do need skill set transfer. So they need to learn how to do this with the leash and this with the treat and this with the clicker and this with the e-collar. They've got to learn, they have to have skill set transfer. They have to have a general knowledge base, some of it basic, on how you feed the dog and how you brush the dog. They need some basic all the way up to advanced on what does conditioning mean, and 4 quadrants. They generally don't need to know 4 quadrants, but they need to know, like, have an understanding of what goes in them. So they need, like I say, they need skill transfer. They need knowledge transfer. They need accountability. They need someone holding them accountable. They need motivation. Somebody like cheering them on, somebody motivating them, someone trying to get them to do the actual work. They need troubleshooting. So when they're in the process of training and they run into a problem, they need someone to help them troubleshoot that problem. They need FAQ. They need their questions answered. They need couples therapy half the time. How many times are you doing couples therapy when you're working with some clients? They need maintenance. Once they've got it done and the dog is trained, they need to maintain that training in the long term. They need hand holding. They need a friend. They need so many different things in order to get to the end result, right? Hopefully you would agree with me on that. But where a lot of dog trainers come in is a lot of dog trainers come in and say, not my job. They'll say something like, not my job to do couples therapy. Well, your client needs it. They don't need it from you in the sense that, like, you got to sit down and, like, really go through couples therapy. But they need some dispute resolution in their program. They need motivation. And a lot of people say, I'm not going to be motivated. I'm not going to be more motivated than they are. Well, you got to figure out a way to motivate them. It's not like they know exactly what to do and exactly what emotional state to be in when they're trying to get. It's your job to motivate them. Or accountability. People say, I'm going to teach you what to do, and you just do it. If you don't, your fault. That is like the worst professional way of looking at a problem. How is that helping your client when you say, look, here's this knowledge that I have. Take it or leave it. Do whatever you want. That's not helping your client. That's a really unprofessional way of looking at what your job is. Your job is to give them all these things. Now, if you give them all these things and they still do nothing, there is a point where it's on them. But the problem that happens with a lot of dog trainers is they say, my job is to give you these sessions and these hours, and it's your job to take it and run with it and do what you're supposed to. And again, this is why you're having a hard time selling results, is because mentally you're selling the hour. You're saying it's my job to show up here and do a job. It's your, now it's your job. And so, like I say, at the end of the day, you are going to be there X amount of hours, but how about looking at everything that your client needs and putting together a system to achieve it? So, for example, if they need motivation and you're trying to give it in every single session, and it's not working, fix it. Don't just blame it on the client, fix it. Maybe you could put together a podcast and say, listen to this podcast every day while you walk your dog, and this is going to help motivate you. Do something outside of the box to fix the problem. Maybe they need couples therapy. And I'm saying that kind of facetiously. It's not your job. But what if they really do, and you found a really good book that you give to every single married couple or partner couple that you work with, and it's kind of like a joke, but it's also something that's serious. That you found this great book, it costs you $10, you include it in your program, and it's like, look, as we get into this, there's going to be some couples therapy necessary because you're going to have one way you want to do it, you're going to have another way. Here's this book. I'm going to highlight some important passages for you. Think how cool that would be and what a difference maker that would be for your clients. But also, when it comes time that they are arguing in front of you, which we've all had happen a million times, and they're arguing in front of you, you can attach it back to that book that you gave them. Hey, where'd that book go? They're sitting there arguing like, hey, let's go find that couples therapy book that I got you. And you can kind of joke about it, bring it back to what they need to do, and have better results. Now, these are just a couple examples, a book, a podcast, whatever. But what I'm getting at is when you're putting together your program, not when you have all of these things: knowledge, skill transfer, accountability, motivation, couples therapy, troubleshooting, FAQ, maintenance, handholding. When you have all of these things, why would you try to deliver all of these things through one vehicle? And that vehicle being private sessions, board and train, group sessions. Why would you try to give them so many things that they need and put so much stress on yourself by giving them so much stuff and trying to like put it all through? Your sessions really should be primarily about knowledge transfer, skill set transfer. And so all the other stuff, it's going to happen in your sessions. It's going to happen in your board and trains and your group sessions and whatnot. But why not figure out other vehicles and other methods that you can include that don't take you time, don't take you money, and if they do take you money, it's just a little bit or just a little bit of time, but that drastically increase the quality of what they're receiving such that you're giving them everything that they need. If you keep being that dog trainer that says, I'm going to give them my time and they'd better know how to use it and use it wisely, you're going to run into this for the rest of your career, where you are constantly trying to getting frustrated with your clients and saying, why are my clients like this? Why won't this work? Take responsibility for your clients' failings. I know that's like a radical thought in the dog training world. It's their responsibility, they're this, they're that. And at the end of the day, it is. But when you're running into problems over and over and over of them not doing their homework, them not being motivated, them not understanding the concepts, them, all of these thems probably have a lot of you that can change and that can offer new things within your program in order to help them with these things. Sitting back and complaining about your clients because they're not doing these things, because they're not doing things right, is generally a sign that you have put together a program that does not fit their needs. Most of the time, it's your fault. Just like most of the time when their dog is screwing up, it's their fault. You would agree with that, right? Most of the time when their dog is making mistakes, they're the ones to blame because they're not following through. And most of the time when they're not following through, you're to blame because you didn't set up a system. All you did is you gave them an hour of your time, and you sold them another hour, and you sold them another hour, and you said, my hours of time are good enough. You take all of that and extrapolate everything you're supposed to get and get it from those hours of time that I gave you. It's unrealistic, it's unprofessional, and it just doesn't work very well. And it leads to burnout, it leads to lower income because you're selling by the hour, and it leads to not loving your business as much as you should or could. And so, like I say, figure out systems, figure out everything that they need, figure out systems for development. Stop thinking just in terms of private training, board and train, group train. Think of other things that you can give them, other platforms that you can use on which you can fulfill other components of what they need. And when you can do that, now you bundle all of that together. Now we've got a program. We don't have a package of sessions. We have a program that produces a predictable result. And when you have a program that produces a predictable result, a program solves their problem, and their problem is worth X amount of dollars. And that's how you sell higher ticket. That's how you sell easier. It's easier to sell at a higher amount when you're doing program selling versus package selling or hour selling or session selling. It's so much easier to do that when you've got this very compelling offer of, oh my gosh, look at all this cool stuff that is going to help me solve all of my problems. So, in any case, if you need help with this, down below this video, I've got a link. What you can do is you can schedule a call on my calendar. We'll take an hour. Scratch that. It is an hour call. We'll take 55 minutes. We'll talk about how you can apply this to your dog training company. And if it sounds like we can help you, I'll give you 5 minutes and I'll tell you about my coaching. If you're afraid of hearing about somebody's coaching program, don't sign up. You can say yes, no, or maybe. But if you're afraid of hearing about somebody's coaching because you're worried that you're going to be sold, I'm not going to sell you. I'm going to present something and ask you if you want it. If you don't, I don't care. No, I do care. I'd like you to have it, but I'll be okay. But anyways, if you want to talk about your business and how you can apply this to your business so you can sell higher ticket, do cooler things, be happier, less burnout, happier clients, better results, more referrals, all of these things, sign up for that call below, and I'll be talking with you soon. Thanks for watching. We're doing these every Monday evening, and so depending on where you are in the country, but Monday evening, East Coast time. So keep watching. Ask questions down below. I generally don't answer questions during the live stream because I'm focused on the material, but usually I can get in afterwards, answer any questions that you might have. Thank you for watching. Click down below. Talk to you soon.